Hello, this is an informal tour of the Chalone Winery. The video was produced by James and Sky Rendon. And a few friends came along purely for the fun of it. Our host was Christopher Tynan, manager of the Chalone estate and a good friend. It is the oldest bonded winery in Monterey County. It sits atop a unique soil composition and profile in the same range as Pinnacles National Park.
Chalone's vineyard soils are unusual in that the limestone deposits are made up of decomposed granite and moderate amounts of clay. The high levels of calcareous rock contribute to the intense expression of terroir. The limestone base causes the vines to struggle, which limits their vigor and packs more flavor into the grapes.
Christopher was kind enough to meet us in the main plant, and then took us down to barrel storage to the very unique cave. Christopher spoke on two of the unique features of this winery.
So this is the only cave in California that has to be air conditioned. Yeah, the reason is, these caves are drilled and then they're sprayed with like this gunite stuff. And we did all of that before we tested anything. And the cave got, oddly, didn't get to temperature. And we couldn't seem to figure out why. It naturally rose to about 75, sometimes even 80 degrees. And that was because there's natural geothermal activity underground that naturally heats this cave. So we had to put in a big air conditioner duct and fans. So it's pretty crazy. In addition to that, the Pinnacles is an ancient volcano. So all of that stuff, so we have light alluvial soil on top, and then you only get maybe 2-3 feet down, and then it begins the limestone. That's how close to the surface it is. And a lot of the limestone is fused together. It's porous. It doesn't, water can penetrate and just run right through it, but it's a solid plate that the roots can't get through. So the roots can't grow through it. So you have, 30-year-old vines with somewhat short rootstock, right? And so, we don't really have any real viticultural challenges in terms of pests, and our weather is very agreeable. We get really hot summers, really cold winters, and we get a lot of tannin up here. So we have wines that retain their acidity, we have wines that are really ripe, and we have a lot of tannin, okay? And so with that being said, all you're looking for is wine and balance, and that's the three main items that you're looking for of the balance. So wines age really well because the acidity helps stabilize the wine over its life. We have wines that are drinkable really early, and then we have a lot of tannin stuff that can age and go the distance and help the wine keep it alive for longer. So.
Would the grapes ever get bound because of that? Or just like a regular plant?
No. I mean, what happens is these plants are eking out fruit. And our Pinot fruit is smaller, really tight clusters, and what you have there too is you have more surface skin than you do to juice inside. You don't have a lot of juice, you have a lot more skin. So that gives you a darker Pinot with more tannin. That's where the tannins come from, because we have more surface skin than we do to juice. And it's a different kind of thing. Whereas if you look at Russian River Pinot Noir, it looks so big and juicy and fruit. And it's technically small grapes, small clusters, but in comparison to ours, it looks so big and so juicy and it's like, what's that? And people are like, oh, that's Pinot, because it looks like a pine cone and it looks like Pinot. But you have to ask because it's so different. You get used to what ours looks like here, and you're just like, what in the world? Tiny little things, yeah. Obviously young wine. I got a touch of effervescence here. Here's a shot for you. It's still kind of doing its thing a little bit. But a really nice example of some structured clones.
Which one is this?
This is 667 here. I'll attach that. Yeah. We have 667, 777, 114, 115, from our clone, Swan clone, and the 16, because the 16 is a total left turn from what
I like this.
14 was.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you like 16? I did.
Yeah, the 16 is pretty funky.
I gotta give it more 6.
Awesome. You know, and you get to a point where we're all wine geeks, right? So what happens is, you know, if the wine isn't interesting anymore, then what's the point, right? You know?
Exactly.
I mean, I don't understand the whole, you know, champagne people. You know,
They want sameness.
house styles
Right.
that all want to taste the same. You know, that's all fine and good, but you know, I mean, you know, where it's at right now.
They're the ones that hate change.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
now, and where it's at now, like with champagne, the real exciting thing is grower champagne, right? Growers who used to sell to the big houses and get pennies on the dollar for the grapes, they're like, I'll just buy some equipment and make my own wine. It's going to taste better. And you get some incredible bottles for $35 from champagne from guys who've just been growing and selling to Vieux Clicquot for their entire lives, right? And breaking the chain. And what you're getting is more expression, right? Whereas house style for a lot of the champagnes are looking to do, you know, the sameness, you know, like what James said, you know, it's like consistency in product, which is a good thing.
While visiting the Chalone Winery, I asked Christopher about an intriguing fact about another one of their wines, the Chardonnay. Christopher mentioned that the reserved Chardonnay grapes, they didn't use ML fermentation. So I asked him, how did they get their diacetyl flavor if they didn't use the fermentation process? And what he explained is that the berries are so creamy because of where they are in the vineyard. There's a low valley that they have that gets very little sun at that time of year. And with the wind that comes from the Salinas Valley, it goes through that area and makes it cooler. The berries themselves end up being large and creamy all on their own.
We are going to conclude more or less here. We could go on, but we would probably go on too long. Go to Chalone, ask for Christopher. You'll get a wonderful interpretation and experience. It's a lovely setting. Just please go. Other than that, we want to issue a small apology to some of our friends that are fond of a particular kind of beverage. So, some people who are very fond of champagne may be a little offended at something we said earlier. So, apologies to our champagne friends, because we do enjoy champagne, but Christopher's comments, which we agree with, is about the uniqueness of champagne always being the same, and wines are about structure and variety. So we do love champagne, so for all of our champagne friends, this is essentially for you. Cheers.